It's Independence Day. Tomorrow actually is Independence Day. So, today, what better topic than independence? Stay tuned. Our culture, independence has always been held up as this ideal. As we wanted independence as a country, so we seceded, went off and sought our independence from the motherland. And we hold up independence as this ideal, as this thing we should all strive toward. The problem with the codependent relationship is that it really doesn't serve anyone, but it really victimizes one person. It's only serving the needs of one in a relationship, and at the detriment of the other. So is independence the goal, and is that what all codependents should be striving toward? If your belief is that no one can meet your needs, only you can meet your needs, that it's everyone for themselves, that to live in a world that works like that, it would behoove you to think, I'm special, I can do all things, I don't need anybody else. That is the breeding ground for narcissism. The only needs of yours that a person with narcissistic personality disorder is likely to meet are the ones that also meet their needs. So if by some chance it meets your needs too, that's just lucky break for you. That they're not going to go out of their way to meet your needs at the expense of their own, that's for sure. They're not considering your needs. They're not considering your needs at all. They're thinking about their needs. And like I said, if your needs happen to get met in the process, then that's just a lucky break, because that's not what they're thinking about. Where does that leave us? Well, that leaves us one option that is really what we're built for, what our inherent nature was intended to do, and that was be interdependent. Interdependent means that we do rely on one another. We do need one another. That we can't all be strong in all areas. We can't all have to do all things for ourselves. The way that we were designed, the way societies were initially intended, was that labor and things would be divided up. We were given different strengths as men and women by genders, and then as individuals too. We were given individual strengths and weaknesses. And the idea was that we would join in couples and in families and in communities where we were weakest, someone else would be strongest, and we would then be interdependent on one another. We needed one another. And all contributions were valuable. Someone has to do each thing, and there's value in all of it. Those of us who are codependent, the problem is that you met up with someone who wasn't doing the same thing, who was basically using you to meet their needs, didn't care about reciprocity, didn't care about giving back to you. The relationship wasn't good for you. It wasn't filling you up. It wasn't making you stronger. It wasn't making life better and easier, and it wasn't making you more capable. We know that we're secure. If we know that we are loved and cared for, then we go out into the world with more courage and more independence. But when our needs are not being met, we cling and we grasp and we get desperate, and we can't focus on anything but our immediate security needs. Some of you might be familiar with something called Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and this is like if you've ever taken a psychology course, this is basically Psychology 101. And this scientist named Maslow, Abraham Maslow, he came up with this pyramid of all human needs. And basically the idea was that as you meet each need, you move up the pyramid. And at the very bottom of the pyramid were basic security and safety needs, the needs for food and shelter and, basic safety survival needs. And at the very top of the pyramid were self-actualization needs. And that's where you become your better self, you think about your spirituality, you think of, the bigger, deeper questions, the more evolved questions about your values and your morals and your, philosophies and your spirituality. Those are at the very top of the pyramid. The idea is that you never get to those needs. You're never focused on those things as long as you have to be worried about if you are going to be able to survive through the day. You know, if you're worried about keeping your children safe, for instance. Remember realizing one day that I had to fall, you know, I had gone from in my, you know, being in college and my early 20s and, you know, thinking about, you know, who I was and the kind of person I wanted to be and, you know, all those things. And then I realized that I had fallen down to where I had almost died. My husband had stolen all of my assets. I was homeless. I was really down to basic survival needs. And it was the kind of realization where it was like, you know, you're not supposed to move backwards, you know. That's a very disorienting thing for you to move backwards down, you know, to fall back like that. It's very uncomfortable and disorienting and disturbing to move backwards. And they also have talked about, like, you know, money can't buy happiness. Well, that's funny because that is true to some degree, but it's not true to some degree also. What they found is that it can buy happiness at the lower levels. If you are worried about your basic survival, how you're going to put food on the table and keep your family together and take care of yourself and your family, that is such a stressor on you, and it can cause severe depression, that getting out of that, getting enough money to not have that, is enough to has a big effect on your happiness. But once those basic needs are met, it doesn't do much after that. So once you are secure and you are safe and you've got food on the table and you're able to take care of yourself and your kids, it doesn't make a big difference if you can have a big house and new cars and that kind of thing, and it has less and less and less. It's a diminishing return. The more you have, the more luxurious things get, the less happiness it brings. So that's just something kind of important to keep in mind. The universe is constantly trying to heal you. It's trying to make you better. It's trying to heal what's broken in you. And so if as a child you learned that you couldn't rely on anyone else, you have developed into a codependent who is clinging, who is constantly trying to get someone to meet the needs that your parent didn't meet. And what's going to happen is you're going to continually attract people that are going to prove to you that your belief is correct, that people are untrustworthy, that you can't rely on anyone. And the reason for that is that the universe wants you to know not that people are unreliable, not that you can't trust on anyone and not trust anyone, but that you can count on yourself, that you are capable of doing a lot more than you think. And so what's going to happen is, as long as you don't believe that, the universe will keep creating situations. Well, you're going to have to prove that to yourself. And that's precisely what happened to me. On the one hand, I was very optimistic. I always wanted to see the best in people, even when they were showing me nothing but bad stuff. I wasn't able to see it. I kept believing that they were better than what I was seeing. And I kept believing that they were going to come through for me. I went to an empty well with my parents for years, believing that they were going to love me, that as soon as I did this or did that, or that this time it'll be different, or I never predicted it. I was never prepared for it, and every single time it was a surprise. They couldn't give me what I needed. They weren't healthy enough themselves to be parents, to take care of me as a child. And that does set a person up because we are supposed to get our needs met as children. We are supposed to be able to be dependent for a certain amount of time until we can navigate the world on our own. And if that is stripped away from you too soon, then it's a wound that's with you, and that's how you became either a codependent or a narcissist. It was your reaction to that same wound. The codependent is busy trying to get that need met by someone else, and the narcissist is busy trying to prove to themselves that they're so special they don't have that need at all, that they don't need anyone else. So yourself, the universe isn't trying to tell you that you're all alone in the world, because you're not. What you can keep in the mindset that things happen for a reason, things happen for your greatest good, then you can understand that the universe is really trying to do is get you to understand that you can rely on yourself. When the feelings come of fear and worry and loneliness and this sort of gripping sense of you're not good enough, you can't do this on your own, you need someone, you need help, you need someone to make you feel better. That's the big one. You need someone to make you feel better. Sit with it. Sit with the feeling. Don't try and suppress it with alcohol, cigarettes, television, food, and certainly not with a relationship with someone who you know is not going to meet your needs. Don't keep yourself distracted with someone whose demands are so overwhelming that they keep you from having to focus on your own needs, which is the trap that many of us codependents get into, is that we don't know how to meet our own needs. We don't even really know what they are, but we feel alive, we feel purposeful, and we feel busy if we can focus on someone else. We get with these very demanding people who we feel at home there, because that's most likely how we grew up, was with really demanding parents who didn't focus on our needs and taught us that our needs didn't matter. And so we were constantly trying to get our needs met through them, and we never did. And so we grew up to we're trying to get our needs met by other people. And all that's going to happen is that we will continue to pull into our orbit people that cannot meet our needs. We will continually meet up with the same sort of narcissistic, self-centered people. If you can sit with those feelings, if you can start to rely on yourself and start to know that you can take care of yourself. When you think I can't take anymore, you can. You can take more. You can. You can do whatever it's going to take. You are strong enough. You are capable enough. You are smart enough. You are good enough to take care of yourself. And once you do meet your own needs, once you become a good friend to yourself, a good companion to yourself, a good caretaker to yourself, then you're going to be in the vibration of meeting people who can meet your needs. It happened to me, and I swear it will happen for you. And just think of it this way. Think of if you were in that place of not feeling like you were good enough, not feeling like you could do it on your own, and the universe were to bring you someone who could take care of you, you would forever stay in that broken state. You would forever feel like a child, like you weren't good enough, like you couldn't do it, like you'd always forever feel insecure and afraid. And you're not useful to the universe like that. The universe needs you at your best self. The whole point of this life, to become our best self. And so, on this Independence Day, think about interdependence. Think about how the goal is not independence. The goal is interdependence, because we are designed that way. Communities can't exist any other way. Families can't, couples can't, and our salvation comes from our reliance on one another. We need one another. Everyone needs to know that what they bring to the table is valuable and important and needed.